I actually do a better Phil Hellmuth impression. I'll save that for later in the series. But the action does start on Phil. King 10 offsuit. Raises to 800.
I'm out of here.
Loose cannon folds.
Oh, he just made it 8?
800, yep.
What is Daniel looking at? 6 deuce suited?
This isn't all that uncommon of a hand for Daniel to limp in with. There has been a raise already.
How about a re-raise to 3,600?
Forget the loose cannon. Daniel's now trying to isolate Phil Hellmuth.
Doyle pocket jacks.
Don't think he was counting on Doyle waking up with such a big hand.
Who lost the last pot?
Well, Doyle would typically be the one to 3-bet in this spot with 2 jacks, but since Daniel did it for him, he just calls.
That gets Phil Lock and Tony G out of the hand, and now action back on Hellmuth. Makes the call.
Daniel's repping a big hand before the flop. Let's see if Doyle coming along for the ride causes him to change his game plan at all.
So 3 players to the flop. 5-7 queen, it misses everyone. Hellmuth checks.
That's right, so that means Doyle's still in the lead with 2 jacks.
Negreanu checks.
Now you expect Daniel to try to continue his pre-flop ruse, but I think Doyle's presence in the hand has thrown him off a bit.
It checked around, a 4 of spades on the turn. No help to anyone.
Daniel has picked up a draw now. He has an up and down straight draw.
Phil Hellmuth chips in hand.
Finally feels like it's safe to maybe take a stab here.
Bet 7,000.
Well, Phil doesn't have anything. He's now leading out into a guy who 3-bet and another guy who called a 3-bet. So this bluff from Hellmuth actually carries a lot of weight. It's not just a snap call for Daniel with an open-ended straight draw.
Daniel does make the call.
Now with Daniel and Phil raising and re-raising and betting into each other, it's going to be very tough for Doyle to know he has the best hand.
Gets rid of the best hand. So it's Daniel and Hellmuth off to the river, which is a deuce of spades. Daniel hits bottom pair.
Not only bottom pair for the board, bottom pair for the entire deck. Hellmuth has nothing, but he can still maybe win this pot with the right size bet.
Didn't Daniel say bluffs are good for the game a little earlier?
Only if you show him.
6,000.
Bet of 6,000 by Phil Hellmuth.
This is a very small bet compared to the size of the rest of the pot. It's also smaller than the bet he just made on the turn. Let's see if Daniel can figure it out.
Just don't reach for a bunch of those great chips. Why? You might just shove it on me.
Phil insinuating he'll make a snap call. That orange chip is 25K. A lot of power in that little stack.
Negreanu makes it 46,000.
Daniel's correctly read Phil is weak and stuck in a huge bet with only a pair of deuces.
Speech time. It's gotta come.
He might have like 6-9 offsuit. It's Daniel. Good bet.
And Phil lays it down.
Finally got there. Took a while, but I had you.
He nailed it. Look at that. That's sick. That's not gonna look good on TV. Yeah, whatever that is, it's not gonna look good. That's gonna be bad for a profile, unfortunately.
Little do they know, Daniel did have the best hand.
I play so bad. I know Daniel's playing the rush and he's going to re-raise.
Yes, that was what I was doing.
I knew
The analysis post-flop is not the time to get it right.
You didn't have a pair?
During the hand.
You didn't have a pair? You couldn't call?
5-4.
Imagine you made like a call with 2 3s.
Huh?
What are you doing betting 6,000?
That's when I'm supposed to pick off all the chips from him. When he
bet
starts
6,000?
messing with me.
That's if you have a, like, if you
You
have
got Doyle smiling, and he's stuck 100,000. That's hard to do. 10 today and then 8 tomorrow.
Dario's going to be in the big blind here. Angel Shlomi raising under the gun with kings.
Shlomi has a big one, and he's not playing around. He almost makes it 5 times the big blind.
Bonyardi with sixes will call. Negreanu on the button has 10-9 of diamonds.
Negreanu's loving life right now on the button with this hand. He's really thinking about it. He's confused with this 5x open out of Shlomi.
But he makes the call. Both blinds will fold, so 3 players will see a flop. No 6 for Bonyardi, but a 9 high flop could get Daniel in trouble here.
Daniel looked a big speculative pre-flop, and now he's picked up top pair. He might get in trouble.
Shlomi continues. He's made it 15-25. It's a pot-sized bet.
No slow playing for Shlomi. 5x pre-flop, pot on the flop. Daniel's still not convinced. He wants to call.
But should he call?
Daniel has a tough time folding pairs, and this is top pair. He should probably fold, but I don't see it happening.
He does make the call.
A big pot is brewing.
No real threat out there to Shlomi's kings.
Shlomi can't be too concerned about this turn card.
21-25.
This time he decides to make it a little bit cheaper for Negreanu. He went full pot on the flop, right around half pot on the turn.
Surely this is where Daniel lets it go.
Daniel is trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And he makes the call. He's not entirely convinced yet. Again, this river really doesn't change much. The only hand this helps is 6-7 or 8-9. And Shlomi only fires out a 3rd pot on this river. He gives Negreanu a fair price to make this call. He's getting 4-1 on his money.
Well, let's see if Daniel can get away from this.
Daniel is determined. Angel small river bet is a value hand that Kid Poker can't beat. Although it's hard for him to rep a hand, he's bumping it up.
You got aces or kings? Can I say that, or is that illegal? Heads up. I can say what he has, but not what I have. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking aces or kings.
You think right.
Daniel really pulled the trigger correctly on that one.
And Shlomi's now thinking, if you've read me for aces or kings, surely you can beat aces or kings. I have to fold.
If I show one, do I have to show all? No. Okay. I can show one? I can show one if I want to? I don't feel like it. Never mind. I don't have a good one to show.
Great start for Daniel. Almost a double float there, and then a bluff on the river, which got the job done.
Negreanu wasted no time pulling out the tricks from his playbook.
Negreanu has ace deuce here on the button. And he just calls, he doesn't raise.
Daniel wants to play in position, but also keep the pot small and avoid getting 3-bet.
Kachalov will make the call from the small blind. Shulman can see a free flop if he so wishes. And he will check from the big blind.
King 9 suited is a hand that Eugene may have 3-bet with had Daniel raised.
Queen 4-4. No one really catches anything. Negreanu's ace high still good. Kachalov checks.
Shulman's likely to end up playing the board.
He checks as well. Action's on Daniel. And he checks as well.
Still keeping the pot small.
Turn card for free then. It gives both Shulman and Negreanu straight draws, plus Shulman has a flush draw.
A bad flush draw.
It's not going to stop him betting though.
A bet on the flop may have been enough to take this down, but this board is full of draws at this point, including Daniel's gut shot.
So he'll call that bet of 75,000. Kachalov gets out of the way with his king nine.
It's a pretty interesting call from Daniel. Not sure if he's got some sort of read or what.
Well, the 8 sees both players brick on the river. Shulman representing with a bet of 155,000.
It's his only shot of winning this hand. Nick straight bluffing with the second nut low. Daniel only has a bad ace, yet it looks like he's contemplating this call, which would be pretty insane. Then again, it's also insane to try to bluff Daniel on TV.
He's made the call.
Daniel makes more calls than a telemarketer, but in this case, he looks like a genius.
Ace high's good.
Nice call.
Sick call.
And in fewer than 50 hands, Shulman has gone from the chip leader to the short stack at this final table, while Negreanu continues his march to victory and into the poker record books.
Things got a little hot last hand between Tony G and Andrew Roble.
Hopefully more of that rant will be on the website.
Roble raising ace-jack to 2,500.
One card is possible. You could.
Jack 5 for Tony. Folds. Lex is out. 6 tray suited. Good enough to call for Daniel. Queen Jack for Alan Barry, who folds.
It's a little tight, but he is dominated.
And Reynolds folds.
Also tight. Both guys were out of position to the razor.
I'm very unhappy right now. I'm not going to be able to sleep until after this episode comes out.
Check.
Negreanu checks a flush draw following the flop.
And I guess that is an achievement.
Roble bets 4,000 with top pair.
He's making Daniel pay to draw.
And Daniel will.
Daniel trying to chase that spade.
The turn, the 10 of diamonds. Roble picks up a straight draw.
Daniel misses.
Action on Negreanu.
Looks like we're going to see a semi-bluff.
Bets 8,500.
This is a donk bet bluff. He knows Roble is tight, and Andrew knows Daniel is loose, so top pair, decent kicker, and a gut shot might all just be too much to get away from for Andrew.
Roble calls.
We all know Roble's tight rep. Daniel can't like that call unless he sees a spade.
Which he doesn't. 10 of hearts on the river.
Daniel's got air, but if he wants to win this pot, he's going to have to use that air to blow Andrew off his hand.
Action on Negreanu. That's 18-5.
3-10s is a tough bluff to pull off, so Daniel is most likely trying to rep a big ace or maybe a straight. His bet is designed to bluff Roble off a king, maybe. I don't think Daniel thinks he could get Roble to fold a big ace, though.
I was so crushed after that final. I could cry.
I'm going to walk out. If these guys are going to come here, waste my time, I'm going to walk out of the game. It's a joke. F***ing hell, he's thinking 20 minutes every f***ing hand he's playing. F***ing nit.
Here comes floorman Tom Keene, who's received more airtime than Hoyt Corkins, who went broken 8 hands on the big game.
All right, Andrew, we're going to go through the same thing.
You play online, it's like quick. 2 seconds, bang, bang, they're pressing buttons. They come here, they freeze up.
Daniel's done a good job of making this look like a value bet, so Andrew has a legit decision to make. He seems to be doing a good job of tuning Tony out.
He folds.
What? After all that, he finally threw it away. I mean, I had a 6, but...
Daniel shows the bluff.
You qualified.
I was so happy you called the clock, Tony. High five for the assist there, just in case.
I don't think he had anything, and he had to move in himself.
That's the first bluff that's worked for me in, like, I don't know how long. How many in a row have I tried?
Rick Solomon's put out a sleeper straddle, which becomes live if no one raises before it gets to him. Action will start on Randy Lou. Folds.
Big sleeper straddle to 2K this time.
Action on the cannon.
Is that a 2K straddle? Now we're talking.
Folds.
Did you really do that? You are sick, kid. Wow.
Queen 3 for Daniel. Raises to 4,000.
I like this.
Daniel's in position trying to isolate Rick, who plays huge but is still an amateur.
Lock folds. Ace Queen for Kenny. Makes the call.
Solomon's getting ridiculous pot odds.
And calls 2,000 with king 8. So we'll have three-way action to the flop.
Look at Bryn Kenny. He doesn't care. He's a baller.
5-4-5 rainbow. Kenny checks. Solomon checks. Daniel going for some chips. And bets 6,000.
Kenny's got the best hand with ace-queen high.
And he's in there. Solomon folds.
Daniel's drawing very thin.
8 of spades on the turn.
Rick would have paired his 8.
And Kenny checks.
Daniel raised pre-flop, bet the flop. Let's see if he continues here on the turn. I'm always blabbing on and on about the power of position. Maybe Daniel will use it.
And he does, bets 2/3 of the pot.
This is actually a pretty big bet from Daniel. Bryn looks suspicious, and we know he'd be right. Daniel was raising Rick's straddle in position, so his range is very wide. But the counter to that is that this board does hit a lot of the hands Daniel likes to play, and Bryn's way behind, even to a combo draw.
He's going to make the call.
Don't look now, but our first pot of the night is getting pretty big.
To the river. Deuce of hearts, big brick. And Kenny checks.
We don't see a 3-barrel bluff from Daniel too often. Bryn's been pretty stubborn. I'm not even sure one would work.
But Daniel does 3-barrel, 85,000.
That deuce didn't really bring in a lot of draws. If Kenny thought he was good on the turn, he might be able to make this call still. But that's a pretty sick bet. Not only does Daniel not 3-barrel very often, but I can't remember the last time I saw him overbet the river on a bluff.
Kenny folds.
That's one of those, right, Phil?
That was fun to watch.
Not so fun for Kenny. Maybe it was.
Let's see it then.
You want to see it? You don't want to see it. It'll tilt you, for sure.
Let's see.
I want to see it then.
You guys really want to see? Make the game better? All right, show one for the boys. Come on. Let's do it. What the hell?
Ah, that's like looking at an ex's Facebook page. Don't do it.